suspected something worse ahead. Tila spoke first. You ignored my calls. I was occupied, Adrian replied. Occupied getting married? She murmured, her voice soft but cutting. Behind the curtain, discomfort curled through Tari's chest. Then Tila said something that made the guards exchange uneasy glances. Adrian, you need to listen to me. I listened the last time, he said quietly, and look where it led. Tila inhaled shakily, her shoulders trembling before she forced herself still. This isn't about us anymore. Adrian's jaw tightened. Tari gripped the curtain, unable to look away. Tila turned and her eyes met Tari's through the window. A soft, painful recognition crossed her face. Not hatred, not rivalry, a warning, a silent, heartbreaking warning. Tari felt her chest tighten as Tila held her gaze. The message was unmistakable. You don't understand what you've married. Tila looked back at Adrian. They know her, she whispered. They know everything. Adrian's posture shifted, subtle but undeniable. How? He asked quietly. Tila's lips trembled. Because I said her name, she whispered. I shouldn't have. I was upset. I didn't think. Tila, Adrian cut in quietly. What did you do? I was angry, she said softly, her voice cracking. You moved on so quickly. You were marrying someone no one could trace, someone completely off the grid. I said her name without thinking. Tari's breath stopped halfway. A vulnerability, a loophole, a target. Was that all she was? Tila continued, her voice breaking. I didn't know they would act on it, Adrian. I didn't know. Silence thickened between them. Adrian stepped closer, his expression cracked with fear and frustration that had been hiding beneath weeks of control. What do they want? He asked softly. Tila's eyes glistened. I don't know, she whispered, but they are watching, and they are moving quickly. Adrian's breathing deepened, the first real sign of panic Tari had ever seen in him. The strong, unshakable man she married was unraveling. He closed his eyes briefly, as though bracing himself against the weight of a truth he could no longer outrun. Then he whispered, Leave now. Tila swallowed hard. I came to help you. And you have, he said softly. Now go before they notice you were here. Tila nodded, her face pale and shaken, as though realizing she had triggered something she could never undo. She stepped back slowly, then turned and moved almost desperately toward the gate. She paused just before the gate, then turned. Her eyes found Tari again, and what Tari saw made her knees weaken immediately. Tila was not looking at her with jealousy, or resentment, or rivalry. She was looking at her with something heavier. Fear, quiet and trembling beneath her composure. Guilt, thick enough to bend her shoulders. And grief, raw and unmistakable. It was the expression of someone who had already seen the end of a story. Long before the protagonist understood the beginning, the look of a woman who knew what was coming and desperately wished she did not. When the gate closed behind her, Adrian remained where he stood, still, silent, breathing hard. Tari stepped away from the window, her heartbeat pounding so violently the room felt unsteady beneath her feet. A cold shiver slid down her spine. A realization arrived, sharp and unwelcome. Her marriage was not a love story. It was a warning. Adrian came back inside, his movements quicker, sharper, the practiced calm slipping from his body like a mask he could no longer hold in place. Tari, he said quietly. She swallowed and answered, Yes, we need to pack your things, he said. Why? She asked. He paused and searched for the words. Tila's warning was not vague, he finally said, his eyes carrying a terrifying honesty. They are watching, and if they know you are here, he swallowed, and for a fleeting moment, The iron control on his face cracked. Staying here is not an option. Her throat tightened. So, this is because of me? She whispered. He answered softly. No, it is because of me, but you will be the one they use. Tari's heartbeat stuttered painfully. And am I really your weakness? She asked. Silence expanded between them. He stepped closer, his voice low and stripped of every defense. Yes, he said, more than you know. Before she could catch her breath, her old phone vibrated inside her bag, a slow, chilling buzz that froze the air. She reached for it with shaking hands. One message. Unknown number, move her. They know. Her vision blurred. Adrian grabbed the phone and read the message, rage tightening his jaw. He did not shout or panic, but his voice dropped to a tone she had never heard before. Tari, get your shoes. Why? She whispered. He met her eyes, the fear in his gaze reflecting her own. Because someone just told me what I have been dreading, he said, stepping closer, lowering his voice. They know exactly where you are. Her hands trembled so violently the phone nearly fell from her grasp. She stared at the second message sent to her old number, the number she had not used in almost 2 years. This is your only warning. Her pulse hammered, frantic and loud, as though her body were trying to flee without her. Adrian, she whispered, her voice cracking. This does not make sense. How does anyone even know that number? I have not used it in years. He turned slowly. For the first time since she met him, his composure was gone. His jaw tightened. His breathing grew strained. A flicker of fear crossed his expression. Tari, he said, stepping toward her carefully. That number was disconnected from your name. Not even the phone company should know it belongs to you. She stumbled back slightly. You mean someone has been watching me? She asked. Yes, he replied quietly. Longer than I realized. Her breath caught. Why? She asked, her voice trembling with a truth she did not want to admit. Why would anyone watch me? I am only a girl selling food. Not rich, not powerful. I am not. You are connected now. He cut in sharply, then softened his tone. I am sorry. I did not mean for it to come out like that. The words wounded her deeply. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She studied his face, and for the first time she saw the truth. The man she married was not calm. He was haunted. Adrian, she whispered, her voice breaking, why did you choose me? He stilled. He looked away, his jaw tightening the way it always did when something hurt. Tari, you were never meant to be part of this world. That does not answer my question, she said softly. He hesitated, then spoke with a voice stripped down to vulnerability. You were the only person who treated me like a human being. Not money, not power, not influence, he said, swallowing hard. You were safe. Safe? She repeated, her voice cracking. Or useful? His silence said more than words ever could. Her chest tightened painfully. So I was your shield, she whispered. No, he replied urgently, stepping closer. You were the only choice that made sense. I believed that keeping you close meant you would be safe. And am I safe now? She asked. He inhaled sharply, a small, broken sound. No, he said honestly, and the truth shattered something delicate between them. Before she could speak again, her phone vibrated. A third message, quiet, deliberate, chilling. Ask him what he did to her. The phone slipped from her hand and crashed onto the marble floor. Her knees buckled, her breath stuck in her throat. Adrian, she whispered, backing away. Who are they talking about? He picked up the phone, his hands trembling. Adrian Eze, the man who carried himself like a king, who spoke like iron, who moved like nothing in the world could frighten him, was shaking. "Tari," he whispered, voice thin. "Not now, please." "No," she said, her voice trembling with fear and anger. "You keep saying you are protecting me, but from what? From who? Because of what you did?" He looked at her then, not as a husband, not as a protector, but like a man standing in the ruins of his own choices. "It was a business deal," he said softly. "A merger my father wanted. A merger I later found out was backed by dangerous people. I refused. They lost money, and they do not forget." "And her?" Tari whispered. "Tila?" He flinched. "Adrian," she pressed, her voice shaking. "What did you do to Tila?" Before he could answer, a deep boom echoed through the house. The lights flickered violently. A generator hummed outside, then died. Silence wrapped around the mansion like a trap. Another bang slammed into the front gate. Tari screamed and clamped a hand over her mouth. Adrian gripped her shoulders tightly. "Tari, listen to me," he whispered urgently, his breath hot with panic, his eyes burning with fear he could no longer contain. "Whatever happens next, do not leave my side. Do you understand?" She nodded in frantic, trembling breaths. Security guards rushed past them, shouting sharp commands. "Sir?" Movement outside, 2 shadows by the west fence. "Backup has been alerted." Another thunderous bang shook the walls. Tari stumbled into Adrian's chest, and he wrapped an arm around her, protective, desperate, as if his body alone could block the danger. "Tari," he whispered into her hair, "you matter more than you think." Before she could ask what he meant, the front door downstairs shook with brutal force. A guard shouted, "Sir, we need you at the entrance, immediately." Adrian lifted her face between his hands, his fear exposed in every trembling breath. "Go to the bedroom," he whispered, his voice frayed. "Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone except me, lest..." "Adrian," her voice broke. "Go," he said. He pressed a quick, trembling kiss to her forehead and ran toward the danger. The lights flickered. Tari stood frozen as another heavy blow slammed into the door downstairs. She understood something with painful clarity. Whatever was happening tonight was not aimed at her, it was aimed at him, and she was the price they wanted to pay. The moment Adrian left, the mansion felt enormous, suffocating, too aware of his absence. Tari's trembling hands locked the bedroom door once, twice, then again, even though it was already secure. Her breath came in short, rapid bursts. Her chest tightened, her pulse loud in the suffocating silence. Outside, the humid Lagos night pressed against the walls. Crickets rasped. A generator coughed and died. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied faintly. The air felt wrong now, still, watchful, as though the house itself held its breath alongside her. "Why me?" she whispered to no one. Her thoughts spun relentlessly. Who were they? Why her number? Why her name? Why this terror she never asked for? From downstairs came clipped orders, slicing through the silence. "Secure the north gate. Check the west cameras. There is movement in the garden." The urgency in the guards' voices sent cold fear racing through her veins. She pressed her back against the door and hugged herself tightly. Then Adrian's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. "No mistakes. Sweep every corner. Seal the entrances. Activate complete blackout protocol." "Blackout protocol," she repeated silently. What kind of life did he live? Another heavy boom struck the far side of the house, shaking the walls. Tari gasped and covered her mouth. Her legs weakened and she slid down to the floor, her knees pulled tight to her chest as tremors ran through her body. She had no idea how long she sat there, whispering prayers, refusing to fall apart, before she heard a faint, cautious tap. Then, "Tari!" Adrian's voice. She scrambled to unlock the door, her hands trembling uncontrollably. He stepped inside quickly and closed the door behind him. He was no longer calm. His shirt was dishevelled, his breathing ragged, his eyes sharp and frantic with fear he could not hide. "Are you hurt?" he asked, scanning her rapidly. "Anne, no," she whispered. "But Adrian, what is happening? Who are they?" He dragged a hand through his hair, not smooth but frantic, the last layer of his composure peeling away. "We have to leave the mansion," he said. "Tonight." "Where?" she cried. "To a safe location," he answered. "For what reason?" Tari's voice rose in desperation. "Adrian, tell me the truth. What have I been drawn into?" He inhaled deeply. "Someone powerful is after me," he said. Her stomach dropped. "For what reason?" she pressed. "Because of a merger I refused," he answered. "Illegal funds, dangerous backers, people who do not forgive losses." She swallowed. "And Tila?" He froze. That question struck him like a blow. "Tila discovered something she should never have seen," he said softly. She ran. "Because of them?" Tari whispered. "Yes," he said, his voice breaking. "She was terrified and I did not protect her." Her chest ached. "You still care about her," she said, not accusing, but hurting. He stepped closer, the tension between them vibrating. "I care about anyone hurt because of me," he said. "Anyone caught in the fire I should have stopped." Her eyes stung. "Then why bring me into it?" she asked. "Why did you choose me?" He swallowed hard, pain tightening his features. "I did not choose you to protect myself," he said softly. "I chose you because you made me feel human, seen, different." Her breath trembled. "That does not erase the danger," she whispered. "I know," he replied desperately. "And I will fix this, but you have to trust me right now." He reached for her hand. She did not pull away, but she did not hold him either. Fear lay between them, but so did something else, unspoken and fragile. Before they could go further, a scream tore through the compound, raw and terrifying. They froze. As they moved into the back hallway, the mansion felt different, the air heavy with humid Lagos night heat that clung to the skin. The generator sputtered. Crickets screeched. A dog barked furiously. Distant voices rose beyond the walls, sharp and urgent. Guards sprinted past, radios crackling with warnings. Southgate compromised. Cameras down in the east wing. Movement confirmed inside the compound. Tari clung to Adrian's arm, not out of trust, but because she could barely feel her legs. "Stay behind me," Adrian said, and this time his voice shook. That faint tremor told her more truth than anything he had said. They reached a turn where a guard lifted his hand. "Sir, wait, someone is coming." The hallway seemed to tighten. Footsteps approached, soft, dragging, unsteady. The guard raised his weapon. Adrian stiffened. Tari felt her heartbeat trapped in her throat. A shadow stretched across the marble floor. A woman's silhouette. The guard commanded, "Identify yourself." Silence. Then a trembling voice answered, "Adrian." The guard stepped aside. A figure limped forward slowly. The emergency light flickered and revealed her face. Tila Lawson. But this was not the flawless, composed woman from earlier. She was drenched in sweat, her hair tangled, her dress torn at the side, one foot bare, mascara streaking like she had been crying for hours. She looked like she had run through the night to reach them. "Tila," Adrian breathed. She collapsed, and he caught her, holding her with a familiarity that twisted something sharp inside Tari. not jealousy, but the fear of being pushed aside in a story she never asked to enter. "What happened?" Adrian demanded. Tila gasped for breath. "They followed me," she whispered. "3 of them. I do not know how they found me." Tari's stomach tightened. "Followed her from where? By whom?" Adrian swallowed painfully. "Tila, you should not have come here." "What else could I do?" she cried, gripping his shirt. "You are the one they want, Adrian, but if they cannot break you..." Her eyes drifted to Tari and lingered. There it was. The tension, the warning, the painful truth. Tari straightened. Tila stepped closer, her voice trembling but firm. "I told him," she said, looking at Tari. "I told him they would use the person he loved most to destroy him." Silence exploded around them. Adrian's jaw clenched until a vein pulsed at his temple. "Tila," he said sharply, "this is not the time." She turned to him with tears and fury in her eyes. "No, Adrian, this is exactly the time," she fired back, gesturing toward Tari. "She deserves to know the truth." Tari's voice edged with fear. "What truth?" Tila breathed in shakily. "They tried to recruit me," she whispered. "They wanted Adrian to sign the merger. When I refused, they showed me something." "What did they show you?" Tari asked. Tila's voice cracked. "A file," she said softly. "A file on Adrian, on his father, and on you." Tari's knees weakened. "A file on me?" she repeated. Adrian shouted, "Tila!" It was not anger. It was fear. Raw fear. The guards flinched. Tari's heart thudded. Even Tila stepped back in shock. Adrian dragged a hand across his face, his voice hoarse and strained. "Please not here," he whispered. "The walls have ears." The tunnel shook violently. Concrete groaned as the pipes overhead snapped. Cold water burst through the cracks and slammed into their legs like a living force. Tila screamed as the first wave knocked her sideways. "Tari, help me!" she cried, her voice raw with fear. Tari grabbed her arm while Adrian lifted Deo higher onto his shoulder, bracing himself against the rising flood. "Tari!" Adrian shouted over the roar. "Stay with me! Do not let go!" His hand closed around hers with a fierce, desperate grip. Water surged past their knees, then their waists. The tunnel lights flickered and went dark. Blackness swallowed them whole. "Adrian, please!" Tari sobbed, clinging to him in the cold, rising water. "I am here," he called back, pulling her against his chest. Behind them, Tila cried uncontrollably, her voice echoing helplessly. The water rose to Tari's ribs, icy and wild. Kwame's voice drifted from the shadows, slow and mocking. "Still the same, Adrian, always trying to save everyone." Metal tapped softly against metal, then silence. The water climbed faster. "Tari, listen to me," Adrian gasped. "We are not dying here. Look at me." She did. Even in the darkness, she found his face, wet and shaking, terrified yet struggling to stay strong for her. Her breath hitched. "Adrian, do not leave me," she whispered. Something broke in his eyes. "Never," he whispered back. A ragged cough sounded behind them. Deo was still conscious. With the last of his strength, he lifted an arm and pointed upward. "Right wall, upper corner," he rasped. Adrian turned immediately. A faint square outline sat near the ceiling. A maintenance vent. "Hold on," Adrian said, pushing against the current as he lifted Tari with trembling strength. "Reach for it." "I cannot," she cried, slipping against the wet wall. "You can," he said, voice cracking with urgency. His hands cupped her waist and lifted her as the water crashed over his shoulders. "Tari, climb!" he begged. Her fingers grazed the metal, slipped, tried again. At last she caught the edge and pulled herself up, the cold metal burning her palms. "Pull, Tila," Adrian called. Tari reached down quickly. "Tila, take my hand." Tila grabbed her with a panicked sob, and together they pulled her into the vent. Only Adrian and Dio remained below, the water now rising to Adrian's chin. Tari reached down, her voice breaking. "Adrian, give me Dio." Adrian lifted him with a roar of effort. They all groaned as Tari and Tila dragged him upward. Adrian looked up at Tari, not with panic, but with something deeper. "Tari," his voice cracked. "Yes?" she breathed. He swallowed hard, water pounding against him. "I am sorry." Her heart collapsed. "Adrian, do not say that. I am sorry for everything I brought into your life," he whispered. "I am sorry that I did not meet you sooner." Tears streamed down her face. "Adrian, please, do not leave me. I am begging you." He reached up, their fingers touched. Locked, held, a deep rumble exploded through the tunnel. Concrete split open. A violent surge of water slammed into Adrian and dragged his feet from beneath him. "No, no," Tari screamed. Their hands slipped apart. His body was torn backward into the darkness. "Adria!" Tila pulled Tari back as she lunged toward the water. "Hold her!" Tila cried, grabbing Tari with both arms. "Let me go!" Tari sobbed violently. "I can pull him. Please, I can." But Adrian was gone, swallowed by the raging flood. Chaos drowned the tunnel. Water thundered. Metal screamed. The remaining light flickered once and died. Then a faint sound rose from the depths of the darkness. 3 slow knocks. Tap, tap, tap. Deliberate, echoing, wrong. Tari froze. Tila trembled. Dio opened one swollen eye. The knocks came again. Tap, tap, tap. Then a whisper slipped through the dark water, calm and chilling. "Tari." The vent slammed shut behind them, locking away the tunnels, the water, the darkness, and the voice. Silence swallowed everything, and that was only the beginning. If your heart tightened while watching, if you held your breath even for a second, then imagine what happens next. Do not rush away. Stay close. Follow this page. Turn on your notifications, because when the next part drops, you will understand why some stories do not end. They echo.